Larian Studios is best known for the Divinity series of games set in the fantastical realm of Revelon. Each entry has been a little different than the last, with the most recent entry being a tactical turn-based strategy affair. Divinity Original Sin is their return to roots with a more classic style of computer RPG with the added benefit of co-op play. The game is currently in an early access alpha version on Steam, and we've gotten our paws on it to get a preview of what Larian has in store for gamers in this one. The first thing you should know about Divinity Original Sin is that you can spend hours wandering around without doing much of anything. The very first town you come across, Cecile, likely isn't the largest one you'll encounter in the game, but it may feel that way by the time you talk with the townsfolk, get some history of the area, explore all of it, and steal everything that isn't nailed down. Any item you see that isn't a container for more items can be picked up and placed into your pack. Some of these things are ingredients that can be used for alchemy recipes, or even weapon or armor forging, while others can be eaten to restore health, some are just trash, and the rest can be equipped to provide some kind of armor or stat bonus. Throughout all of the CSI work, you've got a constant companion. You control one of the two main characters, called Source Hunters, while the other follows you around until you decide to control them. A friend can hop into the game at any moment to control the other character as well, allowing them to freely wander around, help you, and get into all kinds of trouble. Divinity Original Sin's cooperative comes into play not only during the battles, but the conversations with NPCs as well. The main characters are free to have their own opinions on the usual kinds of choices you'll face in an RPG. For instance, do you overlook a thief trying to steal, or do you tell the shopkeeper? Do you accept the contract from the shady businessman, or do you decline? Should both players disagree on the course of action to take, then a kind of mini-dialogue occurs where each character attempts to sway the viewpoint of others with things like intimidation, reasoning, and charm. Outside of all this conversing, you get to fight some mythical creatures like crabs. No, really. Your very first battle is against a few level 1 crabs. While it might seem a bit ridiculous, it's a good introduction to Original Sin's combat and the possibilities of performing spell and environmental combinations. Group of enemies standing in the middle of a puddle of water, why not freeze the ground so they slip and fall? Or hit it with some lightning to shock them all? It's a system that allows for a lot of cooperation with your friend to plan out your moves and best tackle the foes you face. Once you get past the crabs and the next low-level battle, you'll find level 5 zombie boars that will gore you without mercy. That's currently the biggest issue with the alpha. There doesn't feel like a good ramp up to these types of encounters. Equipment isn't a loot fest like your Diablos or Borderlands. Getting better weapons and armor initially will mean you'll have to either steal it from the NPC shops or barter and trade for it. You may occasionally find something in some lootable container, and enemies will eventually drop loot, but your best bet is to go for the riches in front of you than those that may be found elsewhere. Once you get the gear though, you may not be able to utilize it just yet. Level progression in Divinity Original Sin rewards you with points to place in core stats, class abilities, special traits like increased chance to pick locks or dodge enemy attacks, and the ability to equip better weapons and armor. There's not a direct one-to-one relationship with the character level and the amount of enemy butt you can kick. You may be a level 5 warrior with an array of skills at your disposal, but if your gear is still level 1, you'll likely find yourself on the wrong side of the butt-kicking scenario. All of this makes sense. I mean, it's not like a boar would be able to somehow contain a longsword within it, but its current execution is lacking just a little refinement. There's no opportunity to jump into a town sewer and kill a few dozen rats to boost your character level, earn some gold, and buy the next level of equipment. In its current state, Divinity Original Sin feels a lot like a mid-90s RPG. That's both good and bad. The freedom to explore the world with which Larian Studios has provided is great, but it also feels like it's brought with it many negatives of the era. No clear picture of what you're supposed to be doing, a progression system that doesn't fully empower the player to tackle greater challenges, and perhaps a bit too much freedom at the start. These negatives aren't bad in everyone's book, of course, and this is an alpha, so things could drastically change. One aspect that is definitely great is the freedom Larian gives to co-op play. Each player is empowered beyond just leveling up their character. He or she can craft that character's personality and motivations. Player 2 doesn't have to play along with everything that Player 1 says and does. Regardless of what else happens with the remainder of the game's development, Divinity Original Sin will offer RPG players the kind of cooperative experience you usually only get with its tabletop progenitor.